Dum-da-da-da-dum-dum-dum-dum. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Good morning, Shiraz.
Morning, Andrew. Quick.
Right, so it's the MNZ podcast,
Absolutely.
and we're here with.
Shiraz Khan, Cabinet Member for Housing.
Oh, great. So we've had a few lively conversations around housing and the area that your position covers in the ward. And so we thought we'd sit down with you today, go over a few of these things, ask a few questions so that our residents will know just how how hard you're working to make sure that they get the results that they want.
And I think the focus and one of the big issues that people have raised over the last couple of years certainly is houses in multiple occupation. This has been an issue for a lot of residents. And you may well have delivered something to Cabinet very recently, Shiraz?
We have, yes. And as you know, John, it's something that I've been campaigning for over 3 years. And we've completed the evidence gathering process, and it's now up for on the internet everywhere for consultation. It's a 12-month process, and I firmly believe that with the evidence that we presented, that we will get the Secretary of State to agree with us that Article 4 needs to be introduced in Derby for the very reasons that were listed there. And that, as you know, in your wards is antisocial behaviour, litter, fly tipping, and most importantly, it takes away family homes, small family homes, and turns them into HMOs, where a family of, husband and wife with 2 children resided. There are now 7 or 8 in some cases, adults residing there, and obviously brings with it the issues that I mentioned as well as parking. Evidence, as I said, is presented, is there, and when it comes, it is not going to stop HMOs, but what it will do is to make it very difficult for people to turn terraced houses and small houses into that. But with what we are working on, and as a sort of, Cabinet Member for Housing, Properties, Licensing, etc., I am trying to introduce a multi-agency approach so that we make this watertight and keep family homes as they are, whilst not against HMOs, but those HMOs should be spread out over the city and be of a very high standard so that the people living in there get the full benefit. In some cases, we are actually paying housing benefit for these. So I think we should get value for money.
Yeah. So just to clarify, and to clarify for everyone, this won't get rid of the HMOs we've already got. That's worth saying, unless over time that some of them get returned to normal process. But and it's quite a long process, and people will still be able to come, builders, whatever, will still be able to come to planning committee. But of course, the planning committee's got the chance to sort of turn these down on the basis that other houses in the street might be houses in multiple occupation or is that the principle behind it?
It is, John. You're right. We can't turn the clock back to those that have got permission will have them. But what you could do is after the housing standards team come in, licensing come in, proper enforcement, that maybe some of these sort of shall we say not high quality landlords will pull out of the market. But in terms of future applications, whereas now they require just a license for 5-6 occupants, they will have to come before the committee. And we can apply different criteria they have in Sheffield, in Birmingham, Nottingham, etc., whereby we can sort of have a distance of 200 meters or whatever between a HMO and application for another one. We can stop them from in adjoining houses. We can stop them from being on either side of a family residence. So there are lots of things we can do, and we are doing. And hopefully, by the time this Article 4 becomes comes back from the Secretary with approval, we will have other measures in place. So that it is not a banning exercise, and I have to emphasize that. We need accommodation. We need people to come and invest in Derby, but it has to be the right investment in the right area.
Yeah, and it's also about the quality of these investments as well, because sure you've received some complaints from residents. I'm sure you too have, of just a lack of quality in the homes that are being rented out. So that also helps with making sure that when landlords, developers come, they also look at just making the houses that they offer to residents of more quality, doesn't it?
Yes, that you're right, absolutely right in that. I've seen firsthand, some of the accommodation, and it's not fit for human habitation in some cases. But what we hope to achieve, as you say, is sort of high standard accommodation for people, either, whether they're paying themselves or whether they're claiming a housing benefit or whatever. But it has to be, of a high standard. Room sizes have to be sort of reasonable for them to have a bed and a wardrobe rather than just chuck the clothes on the floor. But hopefully, as I said, and as I've been saying for the last 3 years, it has to be a multi-agency approach. Article 4 alone will not solve it. Planning alone will not solve it. Licensing alone will not solve it. So it has to be planning, Article 4, licensing, housing standards, and the sort of saturation policy as well.
And just to clarify from the Mackworth and New Zealand point of view, the area that this covers is most of Derby's terraced areas, isn't it? All of the New Zealand area is included in that. So it is relevant.
What I asked the officers to do was to look at the impact that I knew it was having, and I've been saying for 3 years that this is the impact it's having. And when the evidence was gathered, it sort of showed that I was right. So this area that Jan mentioned, it covers most of the terraced housing and mostly where the problems are. But that's not to say that if in future there's a sort of, other areas that have a problem with this, that we can't look at them as well.
Yeah.
So we can look at that, right? So it's not just this area. If there is proliferation in other areas, we'll have a look at that. But as I said, hopefully the deterrence is there in future.
And we had resident meetings a while back, and one of the issues or questions that came up was the subject of a landlord, a register for landlords. Now, because of course we need to know who has these houses, so that when bins are left out or there's rubbish that's not being attended to, we can then know who's to be held responsible. Now, does this also take care of that?
Well, we are, as you know, looking at the landlord's charter. The old one wasn't fit for purpose. So we're trying to upgrade that so that good landlords are what the council approves of, what the residents approve of, and they will, undoubtedly benefit from the fact that if they are good landlords, they will be getting good quality tenants. And then I hope that this charter goes a long way towards getting rid of landlords that basically take advantage of our residents.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, the one thing we want to take away from this is we've got the well-being of our residents, top of mind, and we want to make sure that all these policies put the residents first.
Well, as John knows, this cabinet and this administration is geared towards looking after the mental, physical well-being of our residents, and for all of them to be treated equally. And whatever they pay for, they should have the service. And that's why I'm looking at even letting agents who charge fees from vulnerable people or people desperate for accommodation and don't deliver what they're getting paid for. So I hope that as a cabinet member for this, that we're able to deliver this. But as I said, this administration's sort of manifesto is people-based.
Right. Anything from you, John?
No. Listen, I think it's a long process, but this is a big step, and we started it off. So thanks, Shiraz, for
Well, thank you for your time.
You're
Shiraz.
welcome.
I was going to ask you a dad joke, but I just can't remember.
don't.
All right, thank you.